Speed! Ha! The nature of chaos. Welcome my eager minds. Buckle up. Today's experiment might just blow your mind. Ha ha ha! Forgive me. The video today is so emotional, even my paint is running. Sniff, sniff. Enough tears. This is Professor Clown. Stay tuned and hit subscribe before the chaos escapes. Ha 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 ha! He had everything. The money, education, a future set in stone. And yet, he vanished. But he wasn't running from the law. He was running from noise and the limitations. 2 years later, his body would be found in an abandoned bus deep inside the wilderness. But behind every headline and every romantic quote lies a mystery that still divides people to this day. Was he escaping society or searching for something it had forgotten? And the reality? He didn't just vanish into the wild. He vanished into an idea, one that still haunts those who dare to question everything. This is the story of Christopher McCandless. Christopher McCandless was born on February 12, 1968 in Inglewood, California, as the eldest child of Walt and Wilhelmina Billy McCandless. He had a younger sister, Corinne, and 6 half-siblings from his father's first marriage. The family moved to Virginia in 1976 when his father joined NASA, and while his parents provided stability, the household was tense. According to Corinne, conflicts and her father's struggles with alcoholism left marks that Chris rarely spoke about. These early years being a mix of love, expectation, and quiet turmoil shaped the restless spirit that would later walk into the wild. After graduating from Emory University in 1990, Christopher McCandless didn't look back. While others framed their degrees, he framed an idea that true happiness could only exist in freedom. He donated his entire college savings of $24,000 to Oxfam, packed a few essentials, and disappeared without a word. To Chris, this wasn't rebellion for attention. It was rebellion for truth. He wanted to peel away every layer of control the modern world had wrapped around him. The layers of money, ambition, expectations. In his journals, he wrote about being no longer poisoned by civilization. He wasn't running away, he was running toward something purer. Under his new name, Alexander Supertramp, he drifted through America's forgotten roads, sleeping under open skies, reading Tolstoy, Thoreau, and London like gospel. He hitched rides, worked odd jobs, and lived on the edge of scarcity. Each mile stripped him of something unnecessary: comfort, vanity, and even identity. Yet behind the thrill of freedom, there was quiet conflict. Letters he never sent, guilt he never voiced. The truth is, you can walk away from the world, but not from what it's made of you. Still, Chris pressed on, believing the wilderness would cleanse him completely. He didn't realize that in seeking to find himself, he was also walking into the one thing he could never control: nature itself. But what would happen when a man who wants to escape everything finally steps into the place where nature itself writes the rules? The answer lies deep in the Alaskan wild. By the summer of 1990, Christopher McCandless had left Virginia behind, steering his old Datsun west on a journey that was as chaotic as it was deliberate. His car, in poor condition, broke down repeatedly, uninsured and unregistered, a mechanical reflection of the disorder he embraced. By the time he reached the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, a flash flood disabled the vehicle entirely. Fearing fines, or worse, he removed the plates, took what he could carry, and continued on foot. leaving the car to a fate that would later turn it into an undercover vehicle for the local police. Northwestbound, McCandless hitchhiked into the Sierra Nevada mountains, surviving winters in hermit camps alongside other wanderers. Food ran low, and on at least one confirmed occasion, he broke into a cabin for supplies. The pattern was simple for McCandless. Freedom meant living on the edge of risk, untethered by law or comfort, yet still guided by a strange moral compass that dictated survival without malice. In early 1991, he traced a circular route south through California and Arizona, eventually landing in South Dakota. Here, he briefly found stability, working as a grain elevator operator in Carthage. But stability bored him. Leaving a postcard for his supervisor, he wrote that it would be too easy with all the money, and in his perspective, freedom and excitement would be when he could live his life truly on the edge, even if it meant no guarantee of a meal or a shelter. With that, he vanished again, purchasing a kayak and navigating the Colorado River, often pursued by wildlife and park rangers concerned for his safety. McCandless continued south into Mexico, crossing the border at Morelos Dam. There, he confronted the limits of his independence, alone, unprepared, and briefly detained for carrying a firearm. Released, he hitchhiked north, winding his way back to South Dakota, and eventually, in April 1992, hitched to Fairbanks, Alaska. Witnesses described him as strange, unkempt, carrying a massive backpack and introducing himself as Alex, wary of anyone around him. A local electrician, Jim Gallion, gave him a ride to the head of the Stampede Trail, observing the lightness of his pack and minimal equipment. Gallion offered supplies, even a detour to Anchorage for proper gear. But McCandless refused, taking only a pair of boots, a few sandwiches, and a packet of corn chips. Gallion said that although Christopher looked determined, he had his doubts because of just how difficult the wilderness was to survive. On April 28, 1992, McCandless set off alone. Hiking through snow-covered trails, he came upon an abandoned bus nearly 28 miles from Healy, near Denali National Park. It became his home. With 4.5 kilograms of rice, a small rifle, a few camping items, and his books on literature and local plants, he foraged, hunted, and documented his life. Yet, even the wilderness resisted him. His illegal moose kill spoiled, leaving him with profound regret, saying how he wished he never shot the moose. McCandless had finally reached the wild he sought, but in its vast, indifferent silence, survival demanded more than ideals. For Christopher McCandless, the wilderness was no longer an experiment. It had become home. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as he lived in isolation in Bus 142, foraging for edible plants, hunting small game, and recording his thoughts. His journals, sparse yet intimate, reveal a man both alive and increasingly fragile. On day 107, he wrote a single, almost childlike entry: "Beautiful blue berries." After that, silence. Days 108 through 112 contained only slashes, and day 113 held no words at all. Somewhere in that stillness, McCandless faded, the exact date and time of his death lost to the Alaskan wild. Before he died, he took a photograph of himself waving, holding a note that read, "I have had a happy life, and thank the Lord. Goodbye, and may God bless all." It would be nearly 5 months later, on September 6, 1992, that a hunter seeking shelter discovered the bus. Inside, in a sleeping bag, lay McCandless's remains. The state troopers confirmed that the man who had sought ultimate freedom had passed, alone, in the place he had chosen to be free. Christopher's story has inspired countless works in literature and film. The 2007 film adaptation of Into the Wild, directed by Sean Penn and starring Emile Hirsch, received widespread acclaim, including Best Picture recognition from the American Film Institute. That same year, Ron Lamotte's documentary The Call of the Wild explored his life in depth. In 2011, Back to the Wild compiled McCandless's photographs, journal entries, and postcards, offering a visual journey through his travels. Further insight came with the PBS documentary Return to the Wild, the Chris McCandless story in 2014, featuring interviews and newly uncovered details of his remarkable life. Chris's journey has sparked endless debate. Some view his choices as reckless, labeling them a form of suicide. Others praise his courage, his relentless pursuit of authenticity, and the purity of his vision. His story has become a symbol, an extreme reflection of humanity's hunger for freedom, adventure, and meaning. Bus 142 has since become a site of pilgrimage. Travelers, adventurers, and internet explorers alike visit the remote location, documenting their journeys, leaving notes, and sometimes even tracing the same paths McCandless once walked. Yet beyond the photographs and debates, beyond the romanticism and warnings, lies the true lesson of Alexander's Supertramp. McCandless didn't die trying to escape the system. He died trying to remember what it means to be free, to strip away layers of comfort, expectation, and societal control, and to exist unfiltered, fully alive in a world that is vast, indifferent, and unforgiving. Freedom, McCandless reminds us, is not simply the absence of rules. It is a state of being, a commitment to live deliberately, to feel, to take risks, and to embrace life with every part of oneself. And while the wilderness claimed him, his story continues to also echo a warning, an inspiration, and a question for anyone who dares to step beyond the ordinary. In the end, Chris's final note is more than a farewell. It is a testament to the life he chose, fleeting, unbound, and beautiful. And perhaps that is the real wilderness he sought, not just the forests and rivers of Alaska, but the untamed expanse inside every human soul. That's enough chaos for today. Hit subscribe before I start grading your curiosity. Ha 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 ha!